Welcome to Friday night's video in our Master Series. This is the 77th video in our Master Series and the 8th video in our Mixing Concepts. So far that we've tried to deal with some of the most basic concepts that you're going to want to focus on in your mixing. Don't worry, when we get into the actual mixing, there's a whole bunch of other things that I didn't talk about. But those meat and potato things you really need to think about and really focus on doing well and taking the time to do them well so that your mixing comes out well. You'd be surprised how many people that I've heard that in the process, they didn't do the recording well, their captures, they didn't do their editing well, didn't do their first phase processing well, and they didn't do the things we talked about in this mixing concepts well. And those are the main problems in their mix. You know, they may not have been top rate mixers, but they are work in progress. You know, a lot of times that just takes time. You know, them downloading reference tracks of productions they really like and comparing their stuff with them, analyzing it against them, finding out what is different, and really working on trying to figure out what is different and focus on, you know, improving upon, you know, their techniques and what they do in their mix and how they're doing it so that it sounds comparable to the people they want to sound like. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're better, but that's the kind of stuff they want to do. So, you know, we covered a whole lot of the meat and potatoes, and I do suggest you really focus on those. We're going to get into doing some actual mixing next, and we're going to just cover the basics, and we're going to look at some signal flow issues and some things like that, some side chain processes and maybe some effects processes and bus processing and things like that to try to help you really clean things up and really, you know, get as you're getting things in order and really, you know, trying to get your mix put together, that you're going to be doing some refining. And sometimes, as long as you know it's just a work in progress, sometimes it's 3 steps forwards and 2 steps back and da 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 to get it down to where it's, you know, a beautiful oil painting like Rembrandt or something. You know, and it does take time to do it well. And the you know, the lesser experience that you have, you know, is the more you're gonna do that, and that's okay because you're working out your process and your workflow. Just keep good notes about your workflow, your checklists, and things like that so you can improve on it. Most of the time, focus on the basics. Focus on the basics because those are normally where most people have their problems, and it's not all that fancy stuff that's causing a problem. It's just their basics. They're not doing them well. Otherwise, their stuff would have sound fine. I mean, it really would sound fine. You could put it on the radio, a lot of them. I've had people send me mixes, and I'd be like, your stuff sounds fine, you just didn't know. And I'd be like, well, let me just, you know, I spent 10 minutes on it, and it's done. I sent it back to them. It sounds radio ready. And they're like, what do you do, bro? And it was like, well, I mean, you just didn't do a couple things that you should have dealt with, and then your stuff was fine. You know, you just do every phase and every stage as good as possible and focus on those meat and potatoes, getting them done well. And the same thing with mixing concepts. So that's about as far as we're taking that right now. We're going to go into actual mixing, and when we get into some actual mixing, there are going to be some other concepts we're going to deal with. So just make some good notes about the mixing concepts we talked about. Get some, you know, notebooks laid out on it and start practice on that and getting some, you know, checklists going that you're, you know, working on those things and refining them and getting to where you can do a really good job of them. So peace, hope, love. I hope you enjoyed this short series on mixing concepts, and I'll see you in the next video when we start our subgroup mixing.